All right, welcome back to my kitchen, my home kitchen for the Red Apron Recipe Club July edition. Here we're doing a delicious marinade and sauce for the secreto of pork. Now I listen to a lot of people and I realize we all live in different parts of the country with different cuts of meat available to us. So I'm going to offer some substitutions right here and I'm going to demonstrate sort of two of them. Firstly, this is the secreto. This is the wagyu of pork. This is one of the most illustrious and delicious cuts of pork you can ever find. It's in between the shoulder and the loin. It was really pioneered by the Iberian butchers who made the pata negra or the jamon Iberico really famous. I would say the most obvious substitute on the pork front would be a pork skirt steak. Also, maybe a pork loin. Maybe not necessarily a tenderloin, although it would be delicious on a tenderloin. I wouldn't really do a belly or a shoulder, although there is a more complicated way you could make that happen. Okay. On the chicken front, thighs, these are natural with this marinade. Breast, no problem. Not enough fat maybe inside of there to really get it to cook and char the way we want to, but a breast would be fine. On the beef front, this is most certainly skirt steak, flank steak, maybe even a flat iron steak. Those bistro or belly cuts would take this marinade perfectly. And the whole goal behind this marinade, all of the umami, all of the salt, all of the sugars, it's going to caramelize real hard on the grill, really char up beautiful because we're in that season. And we can marinate it for as long as 24 hours, as short as 30 minutes. Firstly, if you are lucky enough to get this beautiful belly cut as I am here, we're going to cut it down in the even 6-ish, 8-ish ounce portions, and we're gonna seam out just a little bit of the fat from the outside. Then we'll make the marinade, and then we'll start our sauce. We'll grill everything after that, and enjoy our pork secreto. So we don't wanna seam out all the fat, we just wanna take a little bit of this off the outside. So as we cut this down into 6 to 8 ounce portions, we want them to be relatively even in terms of the thickness of them. And we also want to go ahead and just marinate everything that we have. Anything that's extra, honestly, you can pop in the freezer for a little while, pull it out later and grill it from there. I also keep cutting boards separately for raw proteins, vegetables, and fruit in my house. I like my home kitchen to be as clean and organized as my restaurant kitchens are. Okay, so 2, let's say 8 ounce portions and 1 little clumpy 3 ounce portions. For the chicken thighs, those are boneless, skinless. There's nothing we need to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my gloves off and start this marinade. All right, so for this marinade, we're gonna do a little bit of garlic, ginger, cumin, coriander, annatto. Those are our big spices. Sort of to back those up with the salt, we're gonna use some soy sauce, but you could also use tamari or shoyu, depending on what's in your cabinet. We're gonna do some mirin, that's gonna be some of the sugar and some of the acidity, some sesame oil, and some annatto paste. This annatto paste really turns the meat a beautiful color, especially if you can wait as long as 24 hours as we will. So cumin, coriander, garlic, ginger, annatto in. A little bit of brown sugar. We wanna just enough to sort of add that caramelization. Soy sauce is what I'm gonna use. This is all the salt we're gonna use. You may wanna garnish with a little bit of salt at the end, but we're not gonna add any more before it goes onto the grill. Mirin, if you can't get mirin, I would just say increase the amount of sugar you use and sub out rice wine vinegar or white wine vinegar. It's just as good. Okay. And we're gonna add a little bit of gochujang to this, good amount. This is fermented chili paste, one of the most beautiful ingredients to use in marinades and in sauces. And we're gonna use a little bit of sesame oil. I also love perilla oil in here too, if you have that available to you. It's a beautiful sub out, and a little bit of grapeseed oil. That is our marinade. I'm gonna put it in the blender. It should form a nice thick paste. And then I'm gonna coat the outside of these meats with that paste, reserving a little bit later on to go with our sauce. bit of this marinade goes a long way. It's not necessarily the most expensive, but it definitely is intense in flavor. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pull all of it out of this blender. We're gonna reserve a little bit. I'm gonna leave about a tablespoon in there. That's what we're gonna make our sauce from. And I have sort of the secondary pork and chicken already in Ziploc bags. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the marinade in on both sides, and then I'm gonna zhuzh it around. And these I'm gonna freeze and use at a later date. This is the chicken we're gonna grill today. So I'm gonna add a little bit of marinade in and then mash it around with my hands. If you notice too, I'm kind of putting the marinade in all the bags before I sully my gloves. That way you don't have to sort of change them halfway in between. Once these are marinated, we're going to light the grill, the charcoal for the grill, give it time to sort of come up to temp, and I'm gonna start the sauce. So this is the simplest, most beautiful sauce, one that I really love, where we're just gonna saute onions in butter, and then the aromatics are gonna bind it together. In this case, the aromatics are actually the marinade that we're using for the outside of the pork, chicken, or beef, depending on what you're doing, okay? Sometimes in the restaurant, I call this a sous vide. It's really just a puree of onions. I'm gonna use a smoking hot pan, cut across the onions. Don't worry about these knife cuts too much. I just want them to be small enough that they'll saute quick. One onion is gonna yield plenty of sauce for 2 people, maybe even 4 people to enjoy. Okay, butter's going in. Once the butter is fully melted, I'll turn the heat down, add these onions. I'm gonna add salt right away because we want these onions to break down. I'm gonna keep it covered the entire time. And then towards the end, we're gonna add some of this marinade in and allow it to toast and saute with these onions, okay? The longer, lower, and slower you have on these onions once they're started, the better the flavor is gonna be. So we're gonna keep this on medium. Put a lid on it, stir it every couple of minutes. The onions have sweated down. It's okay if there's a little bit of color on them like I have here. They just gotta be cooked all the way through. I'm gonna add in about a tablespoon or 2 of this marinade, and then we're gonna stir it and toast it to really pull out all those beautiful spices for about a minute. You can start to smell the garlic and the ginger and the gochujang, the soy and the mirin and the cumin and the coriander right away. It's really beautiful. Since I'm doing this the same day as I made my marinade, I'm actually gonna go right back into this blender. We're gonna put it right back on and blend it up. I'll hold this warm and it'll be ready for our pork steaks once they come off the grill. Secreto just off the coals there. The other one right on the coals. Real hot. Chicken on the side. We're gonna cut this chicken all the way through, so we're going 165 plus. For the Secreto, it's a little bit thinner. These should all cook at the same time. We're talking on a hot grill like this, that's at about 600 degrees, probably 6 to 8 minutes per side. I'm actually going to use the lid too to increase the temperature. I'll come back, turn these over in a couple minutes. Look at that. Beautiful. That's the kind of caramelization we want. I haven't touched it at all since we put it on. Where that fat is, it's really caramelizing. That's beautiful color. Chicken's going to stay for a little bit longer. Put the lid back on. I'll be back in a couple more minutes. Oh, that looks great. All right, I'm gonna move this chicken directly over the flame. Get that cooked all the way through. I'm gonna pull this thinner pork off so it starts to rest. And we're almost done on the grill. I'm gonna pull this chicken off. Looks good. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take some of this beautiful onion sauce, put it down on the plate. It's tangy, it's salty, it's sweet, it's sour, it's a little spicy. I'm gonna take one of these Secretos, put this on my plate. If you really wanted to, maybe like a little bit of an herb salad, some scallions, some cilantro, a little bit of lime juice wouldn't be out of place here, or a big bowl of rice next to it. But this is grilling perfection with a beautiful piece of meat. Look at that, perfectly cooked through. That's right at 160. That's a great recipe. You're gonna love this one. This pork is really special. Marinate tenderizes it, really penetrates the entirety of the meat. Let's try this chicken.
What's it taste like?
The chicken thighs are beautiful. You can't really taste the sugar. It's really there to caramelize the outside of it, but you got some cumin, coriander, and garlic right off the bat. You get that peppery Gochujang Annatto sort of behind it, and a little bit of sourness from the mirin. This is one of my favorite cuts of pork, and this is one of my favorite marinades to put on top of it. Hope you all have fun. Thank you.